chance to hear it, so let her tell it. People on the streets say Sabrina speaks. Tune into the show, she will let you know. Tell all your friends and family. Real talk is no joke. You get the news straight up from grassroots and concerns. You can hear with some people gone. So tell all your friends to tune in to the
Good evening,
show.
Cayman. I'm Sabrina Turner, and welcome to Sabrina Speaks, your daily dose of clarity, truth, and community insights. Every weekday from 5 to 6:30 p.m., we're tackling the issues that affect you, from national headlines to grassroots concerns. Whether you're in traffic or winding down your day, this is your chance to hear it straight and speak your truth. So buckle up, Cayman. We're not holding back.
This is the show. We gotta let you know. Now we got to go.
And now here's Sabrina.
Well, good evening. Good evening, everyone, and welcome, one and all. I will be with you in a second, making sure that these links behave themselves today. How are you? How are you? I see Marshall. Good to have you here. There we go. We should be up and running now. Fingers crossed, toes crossed, you name it, everything is crossed. What an afternoon it's been. I hope everyone's having a good day, no matter what it threw at you, that you're still giving thanks. Just getting some of my stuff up here for you so that we can get this podcast started. I don't know about you, but I want to get started. And here we go. There we go. Yeah, but it's good to be back with you here this evening. Thank you for all of you who put up with me yesterday. And I don't know what the heck happened, but we survived. Thanks to all of the feedback from the YouTube crew, who pretty much said, you stay put. I could feel it. We're here and we having no problems. So yeah, Shaka Zulu put me in line again. Shaka Zulu did it. But yeah, it was good. I must say thanks to Danny, always sharing his knowledge. And man, this man is just jam-packed. He is just full of knowledge, and we appreciate all that he shares with us here on this space. And, that is what we want. That is exactly what we want from each of you, to weigh in, because we want to hear from you, every one of you. Everybody's voice matters. And I'm just getting the latest weather up here, because that actually made it into our headlines for today. Can you imagine? Our weather forecast has actually made it into the top headlines, but I will not repeat it. I will just get straight into it and just share that with you as we embark on today. Yes, Jimbo, you are here. Yeah, trying to, I don't want to, I put myself together a little bit this evening because I was rushing and I just grabbed. So, but I got to remain seated, Jim. Jokes on me. I got to remain seated. You're not going to tell nobody about that. It's just me and you. But welcome to one and all. I'm Sabrina, and welcome to another episode of Sabrina Speaks right here on CMRTV.com, because we're voices of the islands, conversations for the world, and the podcast where voices rise, stories unfold, and inspirations take center stage. It is so good to be back with you on this eve before Friday, and looking forward for those nice cuddly temperatures as they're blowing in this weekend. Last night was like, OMG, if this is a precursor to what we're expecting, let's say the next 48 hours, I'm all in. But today's conversations was sparked by something that came up yesterday, and it stuck with me. I could be honest with you. We were talking about the importance of good health, even though it was, and thank you for some of our followers and friends who shared an image with me. We were talking about the cost of of food in the grocery store. And thank you all for sharing your tips. It continued even into the night. I was getting stuff, and into this morning getting messages as well, different tips and stuff that people are. And I thank them for appreciating that, that we brought it up. But it went into the importance of good health and the dangers of high fructose food, and the simple natural practices, grounding, and the importance of sunlight that can really transform our well-being. And I thought, this is a conversation, obviously you guys embraced it. And I didn't even realize it was getting that good that it was 7:00. Hence me pretty much saying, Danny, we got to go. We got to cut. But yeah, I thought it was really good to bring it back up this evening and just delve into it. And I also dug up some information, and I'll share with you also the image from the STEP survey, because it touches every district, it touches every household, every generation in these islands. And that's why I decided then to call this episode Stronger Together, because you demonstrated that yesterday with sharing the tips, giving us ideas on how to shop. I learned something with the grapes yesterday, despite them being modified, about how you can actually separate and bag them. And people are still joining together and going overseas and just doing bulk shopping and come back. And hence the birth of today's episode title as Stronger Together. And as we understand Cayman's health reality not only from information that you, our valued audience and participants, are sharing, like Denny was sharing some stuff and you guys chimed in what you do as well, but because that's exactly what this moment calls for: strength, unity, and also truth. And what's wrong with bringing us together when it comes to health, right? Because here in the Cayman Islands and the wider Caribbean, we are indeed facing a silent storm. Believe it or not, this is facts. And that silent storm is not weather related, even though well-being and health is even linked to the weather. But what I'm actually speaking about this evening is non-communicable diseases, as we got into yesterday. Non-communicable diseases like diabetes, hypertension, kidney failure, blindness, amputations. These conditions are the foundation of all of these bundle up into non-communicable diseases. And they are taking our loved ones too soon. And many of them are indeed preventable. We have seen right here in the Cayman Islands that we did our own exercise locally, and I'll go into that and I'll share some of the images with you as well to share my screen, and I'll be able to do a presentation with you of the STEP survey. And that, in layman's terms, is really our national health checkup. And the results are more than just numbers for the purpose of why it was done, because they are a true reflection on how we are actually living. It also shows a reflection of what we're consuming, what we're eating, how we're even moving. I need to do a little bit more. And besides being on the dance floor, and I'm being very serious here. And it also shows us the pressures on our bodies that our bodies are carrying, often without us even knowing. But let's make it clear. It is not about blame. It's about awareness. It is also about empowering each other, as we do here every episode. And it's also about understanding where we are and where we can go and what we decide we will do. And because the future of Cayman's health isn't written in stone, it's really and truly written in our choices at the end of the day. It's also written in our habits, and it's written in our willingness to support each other. And that's even from the national perspective. So hoping that was able to set the tone of today's show, because I want to dive into how small changes in behaviors can actually save our lives. We're not in a judgmental way by any means, but in an empowering, practical, cultural, grounded way. And my aim is also that we want to break down, as I said at the beginning, the findings in clear and simple language of our STEP survey. Just please remember that the content you're about to hear, including any discussions or opinions from myself, guests, and or participants, is intended solely for general informational and entertainment purposes. It's not a substitute for professional legal, medical, or financial advice. I encourage you to consult with a qualified professional for your specific concerns. Bridge Media Limited and all its affiliates disclaims all liability for any decisions or actions taken in reliance on the information presented. 345-936-8255 is the number to call to be a part of this discussion this evening, as you are all welcome to participate. But just before getting into that, we got to do the housekeeping. And there is a weather alert that is that has made the headlines today, even though we haven't gotten to that section yet. But let's get this out of the way. A strong cold front is expected to impact the Cayman Islands this weekend with waves of up to 13 feet. And a marine warning is in effect. Coastal residents along South Church Street and Northwest Point Road are advised to take precautions as wave overtopping is likely. And just to go straight into the synopsis for this evening, mostly cloudy skies with moderate chance of overnight showers are in the forecast, along with moderate winds and seas as the pressure gradient across the Northwest Caribbean begins to weaken. The small craft alert has been discontinued, and satellite imagery shows affected multi-layered clouds across the Cayman area. Now, the forecast for tonight calls for mostly cloudy conditions with a 40% chance of showers. Temperatures will fall to the low 70s. Winds will be north to northwest 10 to 15 knots, and seas will be moderate with wave heights of 3 to 5 feet, mainly along the northern coast, whilst also affecting the western coast at times, and swells are expected along the northern and western coasts. Tomorrow's forecast calls for mostly cloudy with a 40% chance of showers. Temperatures will rise to the upper 70s. Winds will be north to northwest 10 to 15 knots. And seas will be moderate with wave heights of 3 to 5 feet, mainly along the northern coast, while also affecting western coast at times. Now, the sun is going to set this evening at 6:15 and sun will rise tomorrow at 7:01. There will be a high tide at 6:55 this evening, a low tide at 1:41 a.m., and another high at 8:29 a.m. Now, the outlook is calling for the north to northwest winds to persist through the next few days, producing some northern and westerly swells. Furthermore, from late Sunday, an unreasonably strong cold front, this is the outlook, will rapidly push into the Cayman area, bringing significantly below average temperatures on Sunday, with strong to near gale force winds and rough seas. This is caution in the outlook. They're calling for a marine watch will be issued on Saturday night and be upgraded to a marine warning on Sunday. So there you have it. And if anything, with the winds last night, oh my gosh, they were howling, but I liked it. I really must say I enjoyed it. I want to say happy birthday to anybody who's celebrating a birthday today, of course, wedding anniversaries as well. And I heard today that someone passed. I cannot remember the gentleman's name. My humble apologies, but to the family who lost their loved one today, our sincere condolences go out to you all. Now, so I just want to take this opportunity to extend sincere condolences to the families of that loved one. Now let's turn our attention, before we dive into today's global headlines, let me give a warm shout out. I see you all coming, to everyone who's joining me live, whether you're tuning in from Georgetown, Bordentown, West Bay, Australia, the United States, even the UK. Thank you, Miss Dawn. Yeah, that's Mr. Rudy Watler. Yes. I was speaking to a senior earlier on, and but I didn't remember the name. Thank you, Donnie. Thank you for that. But our thoughts and prayers go out to the family. It was one of those things, you're in the middle of stuff and I didn't remember the name, but thank you. That's exactly the gentleman. Yeah, so whether you're tuning in from West Bay, Cayman Brac, or wherever you are in the world, we appreciate you. Please drop your name at any point in time and tell us where you're listening to us from or tuning in, and tell us how you feel. I want to thank you for being a part of our global conversations here. And even when we keep it local, you're always welcome to tune in. Let's get straight into it. I want to share with you that the Cayman Islands government, and I actually have it here. Yes, I got the image. The Cayman Islands government has released the official summary of its cabinet meeting held on Wednesday, January 21st, reaffirming its commitment to transparency and good governance. Now, at that meeting, the cabinet approved the Beneficial Ownership Transparency Amendment Regulations 2026, a move aimed to strengthening corporate accountability and compliance with international standards. Ministers also gave the green light to begin drafting amendments to the Trust Act 2021 revision and the Trust Transparency Regulations 2019, signaling continued reform in the financial services sector. In addition, the cabinet reviewed and noted the Cayman Turtle Conservation and Education Center's annual report for the year ending December 31st, 2023, and the Minister for Tourism and Trade Development has been authorized to present the report in Parliament at its next sitting. And finally, the cabinet acknowledged the 2024 Balance of Payments and International Investment Program report, a key economic indicator that tracks the flow of goods, services, and capital in and out of the country. Now, you can read this full cabinet summary online at gov.ky, gov.ky as well for more if you want. I just thought that that was making the headlines and it was worth bringing to your attention. Let's take it over to more local news. We have that regional rescue training was hosted here in Cayman, and the Cayman Islands recently had a Caribbean-wide urban search and rescue USAR training course, and that brought together emergency responders from across the region. Yes, that was organized by the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency, which is known as SEDEMA, and supported by the UK Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office. Now, the training focused on collapse structure rescue, disaster coordination, and regional response readiness. Cayman's own fire service and hazard management teams played a key role in facilitating the course, reinforcing the island's leadership in regional disaster preparedness. That's something for all of us to be proud about. Now, immigration reform sparks concern. Yes, a recent CNS Viewpoint article titled, "There May Be Trouble Ahead," is raising red flags about the upcoming Immigration Transition Amendment and Validation Act of 2025. That's set to take an effect on the 1st of March, 2026. Now, this article warns that the new law could create a two-tier permanent resident system, potentially disadvantaging long-term residents and even children. Now, critics argue the change may lead to confusion, legal challenges, and social division if not addressed transparently and equitably. Let's take it over to the UK. The UK gaming retailer faces collapse. The UK largest gamer retailer owned by Fraser's Group has filed notice of intention to appoint administrators, and the move comes amid challenging retail environment and signals potential job losses and store closures across the country. Now, the company's future remains uncertain, and it seeks restructuring options. Housing reform. We have seen where Labour leader Keir Starmer has announced a £250 cap on leasehold ground rents, aiming to ease the burden on homeowners and renters across England and Wales. Here in the Caribbean, we see where Cuba on the edge as the U.S. cuts oil supply. In a CNN reports that Havana is bracing for a crisis after the United States shut off Cuba's access to Venezuelan oil. Now, officials are urging citizens to prepare as if a hurricane is coming, with fuel shortages, blackouts, and unrest already unfolding. The Cuban government has accused the United States of economic warfare, while President Trump has warned that time is running out for a deal. Let's look more in our area. We see where the Winter Olympic spotlight and Caribbean nations, including Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago, Haiti, and Puerto Rico, are set to compete in the 2026 Milano Cortina Winter Games. This is marking historic's first in alpine skiing and bobsleighing for the region. We also see where Royal Caribbean expansion, yes, the cruise giant has announced a new discovery class of ships with the first to set sail in 2029. Now, this signals continued investment in Caribbean tourism and definitely cruise infrastructure. We also see now in the United States, as we wind up, WHO exit has confirmed. Making breaking news out of the US is that the US has officially withdrawn from the World Health Organization, ending nearly 80 years of membership. Now, health experts warned that this could impact global disease response and also funding. The White House is also reportedly scaling back on ICE and a CBP operations, Customs and Border operations in Minnesota, following public backlash and international reviews. Now, this marks a significant shift in federal immigration enforcement strategy. Now, there you have it. That's your global headlines for today. From cold fronts to policy shifting in Washington to Olympics dreams here in the Caribbean. You can't say I'm not giving it to you all in one breath. It is a pleasure to be here with you. Yes, yes, yes. Marshall is in the house. Hey, Mama, Donnie. Hey, Mo. It is good to be with you. Hey. Good evening. You're live on Sabrina Speaks.
Hello, Sabrina.
Hi.
I want to talk about groceries for a moment.
Sure. Go ahead. I can grab an image that somebody sent to me. Go right ahead, my love.
Just went there today.
Uh-huh.
And walking out with 5 bags of groceries for $363.58.
How much filet mignon did you buy?
I bought, the only beef I bought was ground beef. I bought 2 packs of chicken thighs, a pack of chicken legs, and a pack of pork ribs. That was all my beef that I bought. I bought no paper goods. I bought, the only fruits I bought were grapes, bananas, and apples, and the grapes were $17.33 for a pack of grapes.
How much pounds was that?
It's 6 pounds and a 6 pound 19. So it's $2.80 a pound for grapes.
Well, it just goes.
I bought as far as cleaning supplies, the only thing I bought was a spray for the top of my glass top stove.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, the only vegetable I bought was spinach and 2 green bell pepper and a red bell pepper. I mean, seriously, $363.
You had to look at it. You had to look at that to really see what you picked up.
Yes, so $454.47 US dollars for 5 bags of groceries.
How much more can we take? Which spin off from yesterday? I saw where someone shared with me by WhatsApp this. I don't know where it is, and it doesn't matter, but this is a pack of pork chops for $5.99. And that was shared. But I'm glad that you actually shared your experience. Really and truly, Jimbo, how did that impact you? Did it make sense with what I was saying yesterday with you see the shock and look on people's faces? It's all, you laugh, but it's not that it's funny. You're laughing because it's shock and you're like, what the flip?
Well, I've been watching when I go to the grocery store, you know, but it's like I just to think I didn't buy any paper goods, no toilet paper, no paper towels, no clothing, laundry soap, no dish soap.
Yeah.
None of that stuff that really adds up.
Yeah.
Beef really adds up, but I'm still spending that kind of money. That's not even a week's worth of groceries for a household.
where do we go? What do we do? Like I said, I'm wondering if it's in silent protest for something that we're not seeing, but it's not making sense. Jim,
You know,
it's not making sense.
I looked at the pork chops, and even the center cut, the thicker ones aren't as thick as they were, as they are. Were the boneless, skinless pork. The boneless pork chops. You know, they're even smaller. Just looking at everything, the romaine lettuce is a joke. The 3-pack, before that used to be stuffed. They were, you know, packed in the pack for 3. Now they're very flimsy when you go to touch them. I don't know if they're going with a cheaper, you know,
suppliers, or
yes, a cheaper supplier, but yet charging. I mean, I understand it costs. I know that whole picture of shipping. I've been in that business before. I know what it costs to ship. I know duties and freight and all that kind of happy stuff. But this is absurd. I mean, who can afford to shop? Who can afford to eat?
It was the nooks and crannies of why I brought it up yesterday, Jim.
You know, I just saw on Marketplace a rental. I think it was almost $900, and it looks like a storage shed.
Oh wow!
For $900, it's a makeshift kitchen. If you want to call it a bedroom, it's got a metal ceiling in the bedroom, and from the outside looks like a storage shed.
And you see, there's nobody doing this rental control. And again, the gatekeepers, where do we start? Because this is real. You're trying to go and do grocery shopping for, let's say, a week. And it all depends. You're going to be cutting back just to make that stretch. How many people have $400 a week to go to the grocery store?
And I don't eat junk. There's no junk in here. You know, there's no chocolate, there's no ice cream, there's none of that stuff in the shopping list. I mean, I couldn't even get my yogurt, Bagay yogurt. They've been out for like 3 weeks. The whole yogurt freezer was practically empty. Dry beans. I know a lot of people are cutting back, so that people are picking up dry beans. There was hardly any dry beans on the shelf.
Oh wow!
You know, it's. I don't know. I'm just flabbergasted. I'm shocked. I'm not saying that the grocery stores are ripping us off. That is not what I'm saying.
No, I get you.
Because I know the cost has gone up. My whole thing is, who can afford it? You're talking about good health. Well, people can't afford it, so they're buying rice, they're buying potatoes, they're buying breads, they're buying the fillers, you know, for their families to fill up their bellies, the cassava, the yam, all the stuff that fills your bellies.
Yes,
which the way it's prepared, Caribbean style, is not healthy for us. It's full of butter,
correct,
or margarine. So how is anybody, a regular Joe, your average person, supposed to eat healthy and do right by your body when this is what we're looking at? And then again, we have to look at Cayman brack. It's even higher over there.
And worse quality by the time it gets there. It's freezer burnt, or it's no longer what we deem as fresh.
Yes. And also why I have the attention of you and the audience, people also need to look at what they're buying. They need to read the ingredients. Even spices are so full of heavy metals. You have to watch what spices you pick up. You have to do your research, because some of the brands are full of heavy metals. So it's almost like a full-time job to go in the grocery store and read all the labels, to do your research, to do whatever you have to do to try to live a healthier lifestyle.
And hope that an AED's machine is not that far away, because you could end up with a cardiac failure when you get the bill. And this is real. This is real.
Right.
People are, and I'm glad that you said that, because younger families who, and especially those single households with younger children, they are doing exactly what you're saying. You're seeing them packing up on the pastas and the microwavable macaroni and cheese, and you do your sausages, all your processes, meats and stuff like that, because you can barely afford the chicken and to do some curry chicken. And if they have the time to even be at home. A lot of the kids are totally dependent on those lunches prepared at school and anything that can be popped in the microwave or an air fryer once they get home. And these are things that ties into today's topic of the health. We already got the statistics to show where our trajectory is going, but I'm so happy, Jim, that you've shared this with us. Because many people are actually wondering, how are we going to navigate? How can I do better when you either can't find it or you can't afford it?
Yeah. And also, I'm going to go back to vitamins as well. We were speaking on that yesterday. You know, people have to understand when they buy a bottle of vitamins, they just go in the store and pick up a bottle of vitamin C. No, you have to do your research on vitamins as well, because those are also filled full of fillers. So you have to make sure that you're buying a quality product, but then again, you have to pay the price for the quality product.
Exactly.
Half of these vitamins on the shelf are junk.
Jesus. I'm really feeling, because we are limited with options, and I see where Jonathan Can, since I have you, might as well me share this with you. Jonathan Can says, food is expensive because there is no government checks on price. Everyone is being ripped off of profit first, and the government doesn't look as probably most have family or relationship with the shops on question. And, you know, you're seeing where also people are saying, and what makes it worse, Miss Janet Watler says, the sizes keep shrinking, as you alluded to.
Yes.
And
Yes.
she said, I packed up a small container to get some soap and put it back. The price was more than a few cents. The price is more by a few cents, and the size is smaller. You have to go back more often because of the smaller sizes. So people are not wrong. We're paying the same prices, but you know, you're right, Janet. Because I saw, is it Tide or Gain or one of them? And you're paying the same prices, but the ounces were different. The size, it's different. Yeah.
I mean, you know, like I said, you go through the grocery store, and what I saw, the dried beans, hardly anything on the shelf, hot dogs, hardly any in the cooler, a yogurt, hardly. I mean, that was depleted. So it's I understand people are grabbing these because they are lesser. But even hot dogs anymore are so expensive. You know, quality hot dogs. It's just crazy. It's madness. I'm sorry.
We love this. We love this feedback. Yeah, we love this feedback.
You know, and it's just upsetting to think, okay, I can afford it right now, but how much longer am I going to be able to afford it? And the people that were able to afford it cannot afford it any longer.
Correct. I see. I see where Donnie, not cutting you, go to Himalaya. They're subsidized to the Cayman community. Yeah, Donnie, I need to look more into their stuff. So Donnie is recommending that we go to Himalaya, but for what? Oh, for the vitamins. Yes, Jim. Have you been to the Himalaya store across from the government administration building?
I don't believe I have.
You need to visit there.
Yeah.
Toothpaste as well. Lots of stuff.
The last couple times I've gone to the States, I've loaded up on vitamins, and I get the good quality vitamins.
Right.
They're still expensive, but I do my research. Like I said, I do my best to eat healthy. I try to take care of myself halfway decently, you know, but it's like, how much longer can people afford to do what's necessary to stay healthy? And especially as you get older, you have to think differently than you do or did when you were younger.
Yeah. But thanks, Dawn, for sharing that. Yes, Jim, I think you need to pop in there, read those ingredients. They have toothpaste, soaps, mouthwash, different multivitamins and stuff, and even shampoos, bath soaps, and all that sort of stuff. And the ingredients are all natural stuff. That's very good. Okay. Shameless plug for Himalaya. Thank you, Dawn, for that. I think a lot of people forget that they're there and what they actually offer. And I can remember when they were one little store in Elizabethan Square, and now they have their own building directly across from government administration building, and their selection is huge. I saw Eric brought home some stuff the other day because he has facial hair now and he's blown over and he's gone bald. And whatever stuff he's using, he's happy. He's happy with the results. So check them out. Check them out over there at Himalaya.
Yeah, and it's not like you can just walk in one grocery store and do your shopping
Correct.
either.
Correct.
Because I mean, one grocery store changed their meat supplier, which I was a little upset with.
Mhm.
I don't usually support that product, that vendor, that supplier, whatever.
Right.
But so yeah, you now it's not a matter of going into a grocery store and doing your regular grocery shopping. Either they don't have what you need because it's sold out on a regular basis.
Mhm.
They're not bringing in enough to keep it supplied in the stores.
Mhm.
Or they expire quicker and then they have to, get rid of them.
Yeah, I noticed that the other day as well. There was a gentleman that was actually removing stuff from the shelf. And when I realized it, the stuff that were being removed were actually expired stuff.
And if you do your research, the expired date isn't necessarily mean it's expired goods.
Mhm. Okay.
That's basically sell by date,
Mhm.
not necessarily the expired date.
Mhm. I guess the stores don't want to take that liability or that risk.
I get that too, but here again, what is it against the law to do anything to help less fortunate people, to help any the food banks, anything like that? Are they allowed to do that? Because in the States, I know you're not allowed to. But it's even the farmers. Okay, if you have expired produce, what about feeding the cattle?
Yeah.
What about feeding pigs?
I think some of these farmers do have agreements with some of the grocery stores, and not speaking on behalf of any of them. I raised up with family who used to do it back in the day, and I can see my grandfather and my uncle Whitmore Sims going out to Colmart and Kirk Plazas those days, and they used to bring all the produce stuff and feed the pigs and the cows. Now, I'm quite sure that happens, but with all of the liability and lawsuits now as we've modernized, that of who we are as a culture now, Jim, you never know when one is going to say, well, I had a bad batch, even though it was an agreement and it killed my cow. You don't know. The risk is real. So I don't know. And even some of the food banks here, I guess, if they even take it and it's not too far off of its expiry date, because I'm quite sure you check anybody's pantry right now or their fridge, they're using something that's expired and it's still good.
Bet.
Okay.
You bet. And that's what
Guilty
I do.
as charged.
I research.
Guilty as charged.
If there's an expired date, I research it and to see, can I still use this?
And then you do the sniff test and you do the taste test and all that sort of stuff, especially if it's in a refrigerator or you can freeze it, right? But it comes a little different where responsibility is concerned and liability when you're actually selling these stuff. And then the NPOs, I'm not so sure how the law surrounds them for distribution to those who are in need. Now, it's one thing of those same persons, let's say we dump it. Let's say you and I have our store and we dump it knowing that people go through our garbage, right? But we are not taking the responsibility because legally we are disposing of it. You understand what I'm saying? But when you actually, as a food bank, give something away that is expired, that's, again, it could be good. Scratch and dent stuff. It's where society is gone. And let me tell you something. It's society.
You also have to be careful with dented canned goods.
Yes.
Especially if the can is dented up toward the top or the very bottom, because that can slightly crack the seal of the product that's in a can. So people have, and that's where when oxygen gets into that can, that's when things can go awry. So people have to be careful with the dented canned goods as well.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm not an attorney. I'm not so sure where legislation lies with those food banks, the churches and stuff that may get some stuff that is near the end of shelf life. But I know your girl eat it. Once it's in my pantry or my thing and it's good and it's not, in this case, compromised, I eat it in a good, but that's home consumption. It's a little different when
Right.
you're doing it and distributing it for public
Correct.
consumption, you know? So
Correct.
it's a delicate dance. As we embark on what the realities of life, maybe some of these things may change. Maybe some of the persons who even receiving these things from our food banks, they will tell you, look, I ain't taking this. This is expired. What do you do? Yeah. What do you do? You don't have it, but I can give you something that expired, let's say last week or just a few days off. You have the right to not take it, but
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to have that wider conversation to see what legislation surrounds, because it's a lot of wastage. It's a lot of wastage.
I'm thinking about more along the lines of produce.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
you can actually see it. You know, if a apple has a bruise in it, you can cut out the bruise.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's certain things that could possibly be utilized for people who are less fortunate, people that are hungry. Because I know even kids in school, you know, go to school without breakfast, and a lot of times their meal is school meal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I just wanted to bring that to the forefront.
Thank you.
And you know, my heart goes out to the people that are really having a difficult time. It's not that I overlook, but I just want people to understand that we cannot keep heading in the direction that we're heading in and expect everybody to be okay, because everybody is not okay. And this puts stress and strain on people, and stress and strain, especially stress, is a killer. Depression sets in. Then we go into the whole mental health side of it, and you know, people possibly committing suicide. I mean, it's just the cycle, the vicious cycle that everybody has to take a look at, and not just walk around with their head in the sand.
All you have done, Jim, is validate exactly what points I was bringing across yesterday. Remember, in one segment, I even dropped the line, having been in this position where it's almost taken as an insult. Now, how far can a $25 shop gift card take someone who really needs or have a household of 2 or 3 kids? You've just shared what you have experienced. How far can that go? You understand?
Well,
how far?
Well, if you want to buy a bag of grapes for almost $18, that $25 gift card's not going to go very far.
See what I tell you? So if you're not giving at least 75 to 100 a pop, those 20 that doesn't give you much mileage at all.
Oh,
if any at all.
And your delivery is much better than mine is. I'm not a speaker by any means, but if I can get my point across, I'm going to get it across.
We're all real people. Jimbo, this is what makes this space so unique. I thank you. Not everybody would have shared that, but you have validated the purpose of yesterday's show.
Yeah.
Because you actually experienced that, and you can hear it in your voice. You're shocked because you still don't have detergent. You still don't have toilet paper, paper towel, whatever the case may be. There's still key essential things that you will need that you still were not able to pick up, and you've already gone $400.
And you know, you buy a pack of ground beef for almost $11.
There you go.
A pack of ground meat. It's I don't know. Anyways, I'll let you go. I'll let somebody else participate.
I would love that. But you're welcome to call back if it bugs you even more and give us some more tips. But anytime you go out and you experience anything, especially as it aligns or something that would bring to our attention here for us to expound a bit more, to add more context, Jim and everybody who's in tune, everyone who's commenting, call in, let us know, and we'll delve in more. Thank you so much for sharing that with us today, Jimbo.
You bet, Sabrina.
Thank you. Sure. Yes, I see your messages are coming in. Denver says here, milk is still good. Just keep it in the back of the refrigerator. Yep, Denver, I do the smell on that one too. And once she's not off, she's good to go. Jonathan say, well, you should not need to have food banks in a wealthy island, but everywhere in the world we do. And it's embarrassing if you need food to live. That is here, Jonathan. And we do have our areas that are less fortunate as well, even though our island is, yes, one of the most wealthiest. That wealth is not shared by everyone, Jonathan, but thank you for pointing that out and acknowledging that it's real. And we do have seniors as well and shut-ins. We're no different than anywhere else. But like I said, as wealthy as we are as a jurisdiction, that's not felt by everyone in our islands. just like everywhere else. Shaka Zulu, have you guys considered that there is a difference between expired and best buy date? Yes, that's what Jim was actually saying, but in the context of the conversation. And thanks for bringing that up as well. But I'm not so sure, Shaka Zulu, for the distribution and even for the sale in commerce, like the supermarkets, for the food banks and that sort of stuff, how that actually impacts where liability is concerned. For me, like I said, for my own consumption, I'm good. But would I look at that totally different distributing as a business place? I would look at it totally different. Now, you would have to know who you're donating and giving that to understand, look, there's an agreement that this is off by a few days, if we're okay. So there's, but yeah, thank you. There is a difference thank you for sharing that. There is a difference between an expired and best buy date. It's a marked difference. Connie says, I shop to cook. I stopped packing up my pantry. It makes total sense. I used to do that back in the day when my sons were much younger, Connie, that every evening I would pop to a particular grocery store on the way home and I would buy whatever meats it was I was cooking for that evening. Literally, I would do that almost every evening. Friday, we go out and we have fun. Of course, that was family time. But, and I know that there are a number of people that still do that as well, with the exception, of course, for your laundry detergent, that sort of stuff. But yeah, that works even better. And some people, Connie, that's the only how they can live. It's almost daily. They just go and they pick up what they need and they go home and they prepare it. But what happens when even buying in bulk now is becoming too expensive and you're realizing now that we're always having to go back to the store more frequently? And because you can no longer afford it even in bulk, when you actually weigh those now, Connie, that's a different thing as well. And we're seeing that creeping into our society as well. Sarah, Sia says, it's only when the people of Cayman can accept the necessary evil to change things on this island. Only then things will turn around. Thank you for that comment. And I wonder what is the magic trick in this? I see where CMR had an article yesterday about the dollar value of the US currency has dropped lowest in quite some time. And I'm paraphrasing here. But what that actually, and I did a research, a little thing on that. And that means, here we go again, that could impact the cost of goods as well. Their overall rankings of their currency in the world, they still remain the top 10. And for the record, Cayman Islands currency is top 6. That's based on last night. But what it means is because our high importation of goods here in the Cayman Islands, and especially from the United States of America, is so high that any inflated costs, any cost of goods that our vendors are actually purchasing, we're actually feeling that at the end here. Even when our government amends custom duties on items, remember, back in 2021, all feminine hygiene products and stuff for the elderly and babies, including sanitary napkins and that sort of stuff, Pampers, adult diapers and all that sort of stuff, duty free. Can you say you have seen that? Can you say you have seen the difference at the checkout counter? It will blow your mind how much things under the customs in the tariffs are duty free. Things that are duty free. But people are saying we're not seeing the benefits. And that is why there was a public cry for vendors, for supermarkets, for businesses to actually try to work when these duty decreases are actually in effect. How do you, the customer, benefit and to go and look is duty. And if you're, let's say, shopping or overseas, whatever, and you can go up and you can buy some of these things. I mean, I'm not telling you to just go jump on it because that's even expensive now. But just just take a look and see exactly how much things are duty free. And I'm hoping maybe one day we can get a round table of some of our merchants again to break it down. Is there any relief in sight? I don't know. I can't answer it. Maybe the Chamber of Commerce can come because they're totally locked into all of the business community. Maybe they can come on one day and explain what feedback they're getting. We know the cost of doing business. We've seen the reports there from the Chamber of Commerce that they've reported, and it's hitting hard based on information that they got from the small business survey. And they say that micro and small businesses, and I quote, the owners of micro and small businesses across the Cayman Islands have said that they're struggling to survive as revenues decline or remain flat, while costs such as government fees, rent, and banking charges drain their resources. Uncertainty over immigration policy and prolonged vacancies are also taking a toll, according to the Chamber of Commerce survey of its 600 members. Now, what it said in regards to medium and large businesses that are likely to be in the black, but they are still concerned about the growing negative impact of the same issues. So what that pretty much highlights is that even though the medium business are not in the red, they're feeling the same pains as the micro and small businesses. This article also says that the results of the annual 2025 State of Business survey were released on at this economic forum, and you would hear Omar this, and he also said it was clear that data-backed called for improved policy execution, stability, and accountability. And he also warned that while Cayman's economy remains resilient, the cumulative impact of rising costs, policy uncertainty, and operation constraints is placing an increased strain on businesses across the sector, and that's of all sizes. So it is not like it's not there. Businesses are feeling it, and you, as a customer, purchasing goods and accessing services are also going to feel it. So let me tell you something. Hey, Miss Barbara, how are you? Good to have you with us this evening. Always good to have you joining us. Jim is saying, Jonathan, as a response to John, not everyone who lives in the Cayman Islands is wealthy. Many are not. The islands have come to cater to the wealthy who have come here. But right now, everybody has to go to the supermarkets. Thank you, Jim, for actually weighing in there. And everyone has to use supermarkets. But that goes into question about the non-communicable diseases when we're making these decisions of purchasing foods to just fill our tummies. So we're stocking up on the high starchy foods, the processed meats, and this storm of what's happening and the impact that it's having on our overall health is actually going to be another issue on our national health of everyone. The choices that we are forced to make because sometimes we can't afford it is also going to have a toll on the national's health. And when you talk about diabetes and hypertension, kidney failure, and all of that, they are all leading causes to what we're seeing here in the Caribbean. They're seeing, stats are showing that those are the leading cause of death in a region. And while, yes, we know that genetics also play a role, lifestyle is what it's found out in these findings is the biggest driver, because what we're seeing in the data surrounding what's happening in the region, and also here, I'll go into that a little bit more, is that we're seeing that they're younger people who are diabetics. We're seeing them more dialysis patients in general. We're seeing higher rates of obesity. We're also seeing increased amputations. And there's also in the region an increase in families struggling with medical costs. Now, on top of that, medical cost, insurance, and the cost of even choosing to do or living a healthier lifestyle. Now, this isn't, and I must say, we shouldn't be ashamed. This conversation shouldn't bring shame to anyone, to any one of us, or any jurisdiction. We are merely just bringing an awareness and hoping that it will empower our leaders and each other in this space as we continue to navigate together. He says the government has the power to do what they need to do to help us all. A lawyer is not any more important than a garbage man, and that is why the government has to control the cost of living. Keith, these are some of the things that were actually spoken about. I can recall the premier saying that in the last opening of the House, or just before the House closed, or when they presented the SPS, I stand to be corrected, where they were looking at hoping that if they could get their hand on the lowering the cost on utilities, that could leave some persons with residual income in their pockets, making ways or doing things that people could have additional disposable income. Okay? I can really be honest with you, Keith. It would have to take experts to figure out in a small island development states, which were all struggling, how do you actually address it without price control, consumer legislation? And that in itself is a delicate dance. Please don't misread what I just said. How do you actually address the cost of living without actually dealing with price control? Now, someone in the business in itself will say, do I want a government telling me how much I can sell eggs for? Do I want a government having national legislations to say how much I'm going to tell a business operator how much they can cut hair for, or how much they can actually do somebody's nails, how much you can patch a tire or sell a tire? You got to be careful. It's a delicate dance. Now, going back to food, is there something nationally then that we look at for the basic grains, healthier options like your meats and all that sort of stuff? These are all things, Keith, that this government would be challenged with as we see geopolitical pressures is at stake. We're seeing tariffs are impacting. And when you look home, what do we produce? Can we sustain ourselves without any imports whatsoever, be it by air or by sea, for let's say 3 weeks? What would happen if we were unable to do any imports here for at least, let's say 2 weeks, 3 weeks, by air or sea? Sustainability. What do we produce? Would we be able to survive? I ask that question because you're at the power of those who are selling the products for us to live outside, you having your own backyard garden, your own farming, that sort of stuff. But as our population as well continue to increase, the supply and demand becomes an issue. And that's where, is it life or is it a bottom line? And these are all delicate balances nationally that our leaders actually have to balance when they're actually sitting at the table. And experts coming in, how can we do this? Merchants coming in, the business sector coming in, and members of civil society, which is why it is so important for spaces like this to have these real conversations, so that when they're actually making these calls, trying to find out how to address these issues that are impacting everyone, no matter where you fit in that sphere of wealth, at some point, we all got to go to the grocery store and we all are going to pay the price. It may hit me harder than you or vice versa, but guess what? We got to go there. And this is why it's important to have true community participation as well as industry stakeholders. Because at the end of the day, our input, our voice matters because we're feeling it. But how do you look at it from the perspective of being a business owner as well? Because you're knowing what you're paying for the cost of goods. I'm quite sure you have this conversation with persons in Little Cayman and Cayman Brac. It is a total different feeling because they're almost if they don't come down to shop, be it every 2 weeks, once a month, or whatever, they are left to pay the price that is on the shelf over there. So even though we're complaining over here, when you see stuff like this in our shelves here in Grand Cayman, this is a dream for those in the sister islands. And that, my friends, would be considered very fresh for them. So it is amazing that we're all here in the same beautiful Cayman Islands. Yes, but we're all being impacted in so many different varying ways, but we're all asking for the same thing. What is our government going to do to lower the cost of living, which is a broad brush that can be broken down into the cost of groceries, the cost of utilities, the cost of everything. And I think once we have that open discussion, people will get a better sense in narrowing it down. How can we address then utilities? How can we address food? One may be a little bit easier to address than the other, just because of exactly the variances, their suppliers, what it takes in order for that business to actually operate. But at the end of the day, those conversations are real. And I love Jim for calling in, for sharing it, because I never dreamt so close after an episode that someone would actually validate what I was saying. And it's true. Now, do you believe me with the $29, with the what, $19, $20 bag of grapes? See? So our leaders really have their work cut out for them. And I gotta be honest with you, I feel it for them, because not having the true conversations, and worse, if you can't explain how you're gonna deal with it, you're gonna pay the price at the end of the day. This is not a threat. This is just facts. Hence, we're bringing the conversations here. Hence, we're having the conversations, because people hurting, they don't want to hear no BS when that time comes. They're going to look back at everything and not understanding the multifacets of how policy is made, how change can impact from the highest person in our society to the lowest person in our society, can change the trajectory of any sitting administration. Let's see what Miss Janet is saying. Yes. Oh, Jonathan says, I struggle every month as well. Miss Janet says, while I want to shop local, some things are just too high. So I do a spreadsheet and compare prices by adding the cost of items overseas, shipping and duty. If it's a big savings, I ship them in. I join with some family members, so we share the cost. I don't have to buy paper towels, laundry soap, bath soap, toilet paper, toothpaste, garbage bags, aluminum foil for 7 months. This is a big help to my shopping list. Janet, thank you for sharing that with us. We kind of went into that as well yesterday, and it's amazing how much people are actually doing this. But what happens now, Janet, when that, for whatever reason, may actually see a spike in the raise for freight and duty? Let's hope that that remains, so that this option available to you is still saving you money. And if you pooling, and I love that idea where you pool it with others so that you all share the weight and it's not so bad on each other. So Miss Janet, I'm just hoping that all the other costs with the consolidation, the freight, the duty, and all of those other fees remain at a level that this continues to be a better way of savings, especially when you pool with others. Jonathan actually says, and I agree with Jim Norris, costs are out of control. And I really feel the time has come now where that conversation needs to be had on a national scale. It has reached its breaking point now where people are actually seeing it for themselves and they're saying something isn't right. Now, for full disclosure, this is not coming at any supermarket. This is not coming at any business. It doesn't matter. We're bringing this to an awareness, bringing the topic up for awareness and for education purposes, because this is real and all of us are feeling it. So we're not targeting, or neither are we coming, and Jim alluded to the same thing. We're not coming at any one of our supermarkets, okay? Tartarian says, it looks like business owners has more power than government. That's why the government should have its own supermarket. That idea, Tartarian, was thrown out as a government discount. And some are for it, some are against it. Some, based on discussions, is saying, well, you know what happens? Everything government starts, it falls through. And maybe if it's a private-public partnership, but then would it be truly a government discount store? The reputation right now, Tartarian, that government projects actually do and they continue to survive, that stigma stands strong. And I'm feeling some apathy based on the feedback and conversations that were being had, that even though it is an excellent idea, the track record of anything 100% being managed by government doesn't normally hold. This would be something new, and whether or not it's something that could probably regain the faith and the trust of the citizens, if this is something that an administration may want to explore and embark on, given the current climate, maybe they can redeem themselves. And let's see, but let's hope that they are listening. And this is not the first time that I have heard this suggestion, a government discount store for all different kind of things. But in a small island development states, what would that be saying directly to all of the grocery stores? If it's grocery stores, we're going to be going after, or well, not after, trying to get into. What does it say for those who are already in business if government actually competes? I would like to get your feedback on that, your honest feedback. What is the sense of government? What is your sense? Do you support that? Give me your comments. Drop your comment here or give us a call, 345-936-8255. If you feel that that would be a good idea here for the Cayman Islands, it would be good to get your feedback on that. Whether or not our government should consider opening a government discount. Welcome back. You're live.
Hey. No matter what government does, not everybody's going to be happy. Number one, there will be people that will always complain no matter what. That's just the vicious cycle of life. And also, when you give too much to the government for the government control to oversee, then you yourself give up your own control. Mm-hmm. So have to be careful with what they are saying, and it's all about pointing their finger at governments. It's not always beneficial to the people. Mm-hmm. So people need to tread a little bit lightly on the government can do this, the government can do that, the government can do the other. Not always. But people just have to. Go ahead.
Your take on something like a government discount store. I know that there are those in the United States where it's almost, well, it's tax-free, right? That's why it's labeled government discount, right? What would you think of that being done here but it's the same importation? Would they not be hit with the same thing? You get what I'm saying?
Wait, when you say government in the U.S., are you talking about military grocery stores?
They do it
are owned by the government?
Correct. Similar concept.
Okay, to be honest, I've never seen one that was just opened up to everybody and anybody. To be honest, I've never. You have to show your ID. That myself. So I mean, I have been in commissaries, which are government owned and operated, and that is for people who are in the military and their families. Those I am well aware of. Right. But I've never seen one that was just opened up to general public.
Yeah, but
But
would you support that if that was even a thing, or would you look at consumer protection carefully, but inviting a cross section of people at the table so that you could have a balance outlook?
I would rather see consumer protection.
Mm-hmm.
Consumer protection is very much needed here in the Cayman Islands.
Mm-hmm. And some people want to say that that's a delicate dance because you don't want to make it seem like it's dictatorship style of telling me what I can. But that is on the far end of just looking at consumer protection. It's all about balance.
Consumer protection is a broad
Correct.
spectrum to look at. It's not just the groceries that we're
Yes.
talking about. It's a very broad and widening for people to be able to voice a concern, to submit a complaint, to do whatever they need to do.
Mm-hmm.
There's no consumer protection here for anything, for anyone.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, we need a housing protection, not only for the landlord, but for the tenant, especially the tenant.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's so much that's lacking here. We've gone so ahead. We've pushed ahead.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've opened the doors. Slung them wide open in other areas. But there's areas that they're not even being touched on, and it's concerning for everybody. We need to back it up a little bit and say, okay, what about the housing? What about the population?
Mm-hmm.
What about I was just talking to somebody about the waters. The waters have been fished out.
Mm-hmm.
The whelks are pretty much gone. Land crabs are gone. You don't see red shanks anymore. What's the little crab with the shell on it that walks around?
Soldier crab.
Yeah. Where is all of this?
Oh, there in Little Cayman and Cayman. Little Cayman and Cayman. You got a few here in Cayman, but more rocky area.
But Grand Cayman used to have it all the time, and they were plentiful.
Mm-hmm.
We have been. I'm not going to say. How do I put this delicately? We've allowed and opened up to different areas of the world, and a lot of stuff has been taken because they themselves are trying to survive in a place that is very expensive to live and doesn't pay a whole heck of a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So what are talking about balance? What are we doing to protect and reserve what I came to love, what I arrived and saw in Grand Cayman, what I was in awe about? It's gone.
Mm-hmm.
It's gone.
I know what happened, as you alluded to. There was a time that there was an invasion of red shanks coming. I can see the headlines now across the road in East End where they were climbing up the walls and all that sort of stuff. I think that was just before Hurricane Ivan. And I think what has happened at all of these crustaceans, for example, for this context of this conversation, is the huge development that we're had. I'm not telling you that they don't exist, but you will find them in Grand Cayman more up north side, East End area, maybe a little part of Bodden Town. But it's something to scratch your head over in Georgetown. And I remember growing up right there behind Piccadilly, that we used to have soldiers all the time in my grandmother's yard. And I'm quite sure it's been a long time that we haven't seen anything like that in the center of town. Now,
you don't see it in the Eastern District either.
See,
I mean,
so,
I drive up and down these roads all the time, and I remember a certain time of year you could drive through High Rock, and they would just cover the road, and you couldn't help not to hit them and kill them,
but
because
still,
they were so plentiful. But you would drive very slow and hope they would get out from under your tires as quickly as possible. But they're gone. Land crabs. You used to walk around and you could see them. You don't see them anymore. It was so. Here again, talking about balance. What are we doing in the bigger picture, the big scheme of things?
That's the national question, which is why I did that big spiel before you called. And it's a delicate dance. And I don't think there's a magic. I stand to be corrected. Somebody just say what it is or give some ideas, but you're going to need all hands on deck. All hands meaning people like yourselves, persons from both sides of the spectrum, all sectors. And this is why we're having this conversation. Your legislative makers, your the merchants, for what it really looks at. I think somebody had a comment here, the ESO, the data on what it really costs for an average bag of groceries here in the Cayman Islands. But that can change based on geopolitical climate that we're in and all the tariffs as well. I think why we are on the back foot here in the Cayman Islands, Jim, don't mean to cut you, is because we're heavily reliant on importations of everything. We're not like for Jamaica that, even though they were hammered by Melissa, we don't grow a lot of stuff. We don't produce a lot of stuff that we can even sustain ourselves.
But let me say that it's not that it can't happen.
Right.
It just needs to be better supported. It needs bigger dollars from agriculture, government side to be able to support this area of the island where people that do farm can actually have that support, which it's not given. You know, you can give out a little trophy or a little of this or a little certificate or whatever you want. That's not helping the big scheme of things. Like I said, it needs more. And you know, somebody commented about, you know, if more white people would speak up, maybe they'd listen. It's not about color either. You know, whether I'm white, black, green, or purple, it's because this is my home. And it's been my home, and it'll be my home until I decide otherwise, or the government decides otherwise. And it's because I give a damn, and I will continue to give a damn, and I will continue to speak up, and I'll continue to speak out. And if people don't like it, I don't really care. I am going to say what I see, what I feel. And if everybody doesn't participate in making change, nothing is ever going to change.
ICCA is saying there's not enough land to purchase to sustain the country anyway. And Sia also says telling people to farm is not going to help. I see where Shaka Zulu said massive depletion is taking place. The caller is correct. Foreign workers are using the natural resources to survive and supplement their small income. Many boomers spoke of that happening long ago. So
you know, I said years ago, that this island is going to go down a path that it's not going to be very pretty for a lot of people, that they are going to go for the wealthy. And that's exactly what has happened.
Sia is suggesting that if the government wants to help people, they need to eliminate all duties on food. I don't think that
That's not
going to happen. And clothes. No, that's not going to happen. We're seeing where some of the stuff have been duty free already, as I alluded to. Sia, I don't think you may have to tune in then, but people are not. I know I have a friend has a spouse that is bedridden, and they still take the flight to Miami to bring back adult diapers. And when I heard that, I'm like, why? I said from 2021, those were duty free. And they're like, no, it's still cheaper for me to buy a ticket to go away and buy the same adult diapers than what I pay for them here. And I'm like, but that's not making sense. And trust me, they still travel to get those adult diapers that we made duty free.
And the other thing I'm going to talk about quickly is shipping. The shipping charges are astronomical compared to what they used to be. People have to understand that bringing a container in, and when you look at these grocery stores, bringing in 20, 30, 40, 50 containers in at a time, it's based on the container. It's based on the weight of a container, the size of a container.
And you see, all of those costs are going to be passed on. Everything, every person that touches that, though, that impacts the cost.
Exactly. And if you're going to be in business, you have to make a profit.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, there's no point in being in business.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
People, a lot of people don't see the bigger picture. They don't understand, and they're not meant to understand. But some of us have experienced the cost of running a business, the cost of bringing in merchandise, the cost of goods, whatever you want to call them. It's expensive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that is why making
and then you have to pay duty on top of that.
yeah.
So it's, I mean, you can't run a grocery store and say something was $5 and sell it for $7. It just doesn't work that way.
Because even if the government, actually asks, why can't it happen? Meaning, why can't it actually be duty free? That's revenue that the government is collecting, but it doesn't mean that it will still lower the cost of the goods, because as Jim is saying, you still have to pay for the cost of the container, for the freight, for and that is not cheap. So you may not
and then why Cayman Brac is even more expensive is because of the shipping from Grand Cayman to the Brac or Little Cayman. That's also a cost that has to be added to the cost of the goods.
Mm-hmm. Sia feels
it's not free,
right?
For people that don't know, it's not free to ship from here to Cayman Brac or Little Cayman. It's not free.
Mm-hmm. Sia feels that
money.
If the government was getting another source of revenue, it could happen.
Okay, well, what's that source of revenue?
Exactly. And if it's government, that means, for example, the increased filing fees for work permits could be for that other source of revenue. The increased fees on the driver's license for non-Caymanians could subsidize for that. You see what I'm saying, Sia? What would be the other source if it's not that? Because government's duties is government's money. Coffers goes into the government's coffers. So Sia also says, what would you do to make more revenue on the island? I'm not an economist. I wouldn't know, to be honest. You would have to explore. You would have to explore other options, like be it, you remember now we went into medical tourism. We talked about sports tourism. We talked about other stuff you can't build anymore. These are other innovative ideas, but it's a quid pro quo. You have to create that environment to attract other revenue streams for government, and something, it's not free. You got to give them something to get back something.
So there has to be a solution, and the people that are asking questions, well, come up with a solution.
Exactly.
Don't necessarily pour it all out on the government to figure it out. There's a lot more brains out here walking around that could come up with ideas to throw out at the government and say, what about this? What about that? You know, maybe they need someplace where you can write it down and drop it in a box somewhere. Who knows? Just something. But people can't just sit back and complain and do nothing. That takes us nowhere. That gets us nowhere.
Sia, what is that? Sia says, what Cayman needs, the people won't admit. Legalizing what? Gambling? Casinos? What?
No.
Let me know what your thoughts are. I mean, please share them, even if you want to privately message me, which I would actually said it. But yeah, what would be your idea? Shaka Zulu is saying.
I'm gonna interject on that.
Go ahead.
Legalizing gambling. There's enough addiction here on this island already. Addictions, the plural. If it was lotto, Cayman's not big enough to run a proper and profitable lottery. And people have to understand too, a lottery is a business. So the lottery has to make money to be able to have a successful lottery run business. So if people want to legalize, what I just mentioned, well, good luck with it, because it's not going to be successful.
Shaka Zulu said the Cayman could consider becoming a lending destination for cryptocurrency. That'll be interesting to hear the bank's feedback on that. But we asked, what about additional revenue streams? There you go. That was an idea. Denver says another
Yes.
way is to increase the fees to government on all the money going out of the country by MoneyGram and Western Union. That about 350 million a year, if not more.
And you know what? I don't have a problem with that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's not that I want to be, ugly
Leading. Okay.
to anybody,
Mm-hmm.
but I agree to that.
Mm-hmm. Correction by Shaka Zulu said being a leading destination for cryptocurrency. Well, Shaka Zulu, I think we may be posturing ourselves to possibly set the bar there with what we're trying to do with shoring up or safeguarding our connectivity with the Maya fiber cable. And I think the premier also said that that's why this digital footprint here in the Cayman Islands and making sure that we have the infrastructure around. I'm not speaking on their behalf, but it goes into what you were saying. Maybe we are posturing ourselves to be the leading destination for cryptocurrency. And Denver says like Bitcoin. So let's see.
I will leave you there again.
Oh, Sia says Cayman needs to triple its tourism, and there's only one thing that can help this tourism. But before we triple our tourism, we need a better road infrastructure. So I still don't know what Sia is getting after, but I'll leave it there. Sia, I think I know it's after 6, but yeah, I'll leave it there. Jimbo, thank you for weighing in. It's always a pleasure.
All right, darling, take care. Have a good evening. I'll continue listening.
Yes, thank you so much. It's almost 6:30. We got a half hour to go here on the Sabrina Speaks. 345-936-8255 is the number to call to weigh in on this conversation. Keep your comments coming in. But see, I kind of have an idea where you're going. I hope I'm wrong, but I'm not going to say it. Someone asked, what would I do if I was in government? And I'm thinking they were asking that in regards to the government discount. It was a conversation that I supported in its what was actually suggested of us exploring that option, to be honest. And when the discussions came about, now it never came to fruition. Now, a government discount store, government taking it all over, as I said, in principle, looking at it to lower the cost, of course, was something that I supported. But of course, that was making sure, because I'm one, I need to look at it from all aspects. I needed the data. And it was one thing of saying, yeah, let's do this, let's do that. But you have to look at the impacts. And if it was not going to yield savings to the Caymanian people and making their lives easier, then I did not have enough information. And I still don't have enough information to see what impacts that could have on our overall economy. But in principle, of course, I supported the suggestion, but of course, subject to getting holistically additional information around it, the pros, the cons of doing it, and engaging with stakeholders, knowing that they would have an interest to protect, of course, what they have, and we don't want to take anybody out of business. But the primary focus is on lowering or giving our people access to more affordable, in this case, food and products. So in principle, yes, of course, I supported it. Shaka Zulu, Cayman has internationally recognized branding that could position it as the leading destination. Yes, they did it with the hedge funds, so do it with crypto. There you go, Shaka Zulu. Tartarian says, not being funny, but for those who are deliberately overweight, these high prices may cause obesity decline. Some people are overweight, not even because of what they're eating. And this is Tartarian, not taking this personal, baby doll. You gotta come good to affect me. And I'm not taking it personal. Age for females, automatically you're into that premenopausal thing that happens, but also thyroid, hyperthyroid. And you can go on all the diet there is in the world. You ain't gonna lose the weight. I don't even eat meat. I will pick. If you see Tartarian, I'm putting myself there, and I didn't take it personal, because some people may actually say, yeah, that is the solution. And even with the step survey, some of the even fasting to to purge, to actually reset your body and all that sort of stuff, Tartarian, not everybody can fast the traditional way. And this is why certain things we always have the caution, disclaimer, make sure you check with your physician. But at the end of the day, yes, the decline in obesity may not be a healthy decline either, because people can lose weight and it's still not a healthy weight loss. You could lose body mass, you can lose your muscle mass and all that sort of stuff that just gets you weak out. So I think that has to be looked at nationally. And I deliberately answered you to put it in my perspective, because sometimes you try and you try and you try and you try and you try, and it's just whatever disorder you have, you're not going to lose the weight. Sometimes you gain weight, even when you're doing everything right. It's your age, your metabolic way of breaking down certain things. And of course, whether or not you move. Some people walk and walk and walk and walk and walk, and they're the same size, but their heart health is good. You see what I'm saying? So there are a number of factors. So we got to be careful with the weight loss. There's a healthy weight loss and there could be unhealthy weight loss. And where we're talking for the purpose of this conversation, if people are stopping buying food and you see a decline in obesity, it may not necessarily always be a good decline. You're live. Good evening.
Good evening, Miss Sabrina.
Hi. Happy New Year. Is this the first time for the new year?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh my goodness. I'm thankful.
I will send you a message later to tell you.
Okay.
Something
All right, my love.
positive.
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk about food. I'm going to do a couple of minutes, if you'll give me,
Yeah, go
of
ahead.
educating people or the public of what we are consuming
Mm-hmm.
when we go to the supermarket
Mm-hmm.
and what you need to look at as in regards to labels.
Uh-huh.
I used to have culture shock too when I changed it. I call it eating nasty food
Mm-hmm.
to eating healthy food. And yes, I wish there were a lot more options, but it's what it is. And until we understand that the food we are eating
Mm-hmm.
is what's making us sick, we're not going to understand anything. So I'm going to educate the public, if they don't know, here for a couple of minutes.
Mm-hmm.
The deadliest drug in the world is sugar. It's into everything, and you need to cut it out. It's what fuels inflammation in human bodies. It's called fructose, high corn syrup, sucralose, you name it. It's
Danny
in
Warren
there.
went all into that yesterday. You missed that episode.
Oh, I go back and watch it.
Hence
It
the
is
birth of
so-
today's episode. Mhm.
Yeah, it is so addictive. White bread. Read the ingredients. This whole wheat bread that scream at you, they're whole wheat. They're not whole wheat. They're nasty. You want some decent bread? Go to the freezer section of Kirk's, Hurley's, Foster's, and get yourself some Ezekiel bread. Yes, it is $6.99 a loaf, but one slice fills you, and it's all sprouted greens. If you eat bread that is coming from sprouted greens, the greens are sprouted, they're not processed.
Mhm.
All this enriched flour, you got to cut all of that nastiness out,
Mhm.
because that's what is processed. They strip the green of the the thing to make the flour,
Mhm.
and they're stripping all the nutrients out of it. People got to understand that certain fruits and vegetables have to be organic because of what they're sprayed. I keep telling people you're what you eat.
Mhm.
And if the public in Cayman does not understand that, let me just educate you here this evening. A few people could answer what part of your body houses most of your immune system. The majority of people that I continually ask when I meet people on a daily basis, they look at me and they tell me they don't know, or they guess it wrong.
Mhm.
Over 70% of our immune system is housed in our gut. Okay? If we feed it crap, we are going to get crappy results out of it. Your gut has, your stomach, whatever we call it, gut has it's It's like a lining.
Mm-hmm.
And we continually eat all of this crap with these processed food oils that the companies are only processing them to get every drop out, and they're using chemicals because it's a business. That's what's fueling information in people, because it's in everything. It's in the bread. So you think the Wonder Bread squeezes and goes back to its original position? All of this crap is in our food, and when we sit down and think, you go to Burger King every day and you're having all this old nasty white flour with all this oil. Look where it's going. It's going through your stomach. It's got to process it. And it's nasty stuff that is, you got to feed your stomach healthy fiber, insoluble fiber, soluble fiber, in order for it to do the right thing in your gut, which is keep you healthy. Because if your gut isn't healthy, you are not healthy.
Mm-hmm.
I use an app to shop, and I encourage every parent from today onward, every soul that has a smartphone can go download it. It's an American app. I don't think it comes up on the UK phones because it's an American app. But it's just go to iOS or Android and you just type in Bobby space approved space app. Download it. It'll ask you a few questions. If you got allergies, you can answer it if you want. Whatever, you skip it. You take something this evening when you download it, and take something out of your pantry or your cupboards in your kitchen that has a barcode that we get out the supermarket. Take the bread, first of all, that we do. Can the bread, and you will be shocked to understand the nastiness, the processed, man-made chemicals that we are consuming every day as human beings.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing I have had to learn, sugar is my worst enemy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I don't drink sodas. I drink healthy juices. And I go between 3 supermarkets, Foster's, Herc Market, and Hurley's. And between those 3, I find what I need to eat. But most of all, what I include is my healthy farm produced stuff here.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we have sprayed for years with chemicals, and we know the cancer rate is high because of that. It's got into our water table. People have to learn why we get sick from decades ago is because we didn't worry about the land on the beach being prosperous. We worried about the inland. So we sold all the land and it's gone. We can't get it back. So we went to our grounds and the chemicals went into the groundwater. Okay? I think a study was done some years ago. We have one of the highest cancer rates in the world. And they kind of linked it part to that. Based on that, in fact, I don't eat American ground beef. I don't eat American pork. I eat local. I want to know where it comes from.
Mm-hmm.
The chicken, I try to find the best chicken in the supermarket. Yes, it's more. It costs more. But when you get over that culture price shock, Miss Sabrina and Cayman, let me tell you, your body is going to thank you. I was skeptical when I started it. Your body is going to not want nasty food after 2 weeks and it's going to go, oh, that tastes nasty. Your taste buds reaches you in about 2 weeks. And it says to you, this is nasty. I look at the people shopping in the supermarket and I go, oh my God, the crap you're feeding your children. All of this Reese's peanut butter cups and all of this Snickers. And I was a lover of them and M&Ms, but I eat healthy chocolates. Yes, they're 6 something a bar, but you break one little piece and you're full. When you eat healthy food, organic food, it's called satiety. It keeps you full longer, but you're snacking in between with healthy snacks. Remember, we supposed to get 3 meals a day. Breakfast is your most important. Oats, but not Quaker oats, organic oats, steel cut oats. They're the least processed. People have to read up and learn. Bobby approved. His name is Bobby Parrish. He's on YouTube. He goes into Target, Walmart, Costco, Aldi's, Sam's, and you can He clicks on it, and he just tells you what is healthy and what's not. When you use this app to scan stuff, you just, if it's not approved, it's red. If it's approved, it's green. If it's red, it's going to tell you the nasty stuff and tell you why you shouldn't have it.
Mm-hmm.
We are what we eat, so we need to learn to understand that. And what we eat in Cayman and the rest of the world, if you're not eating something healthy, it's nasty food that are man-made, processed chemicals, put all these natural flavors.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what the natural flavors are. They're made in a lab. They're made to get you addicted. They are healthy potato chips. I'm going to give you the name of a few brands.
Mm-hmm.
Boulder Canyon. There are some of them, and they don't make all of them healthy, but they are the regular potato chips that are avocado. There's a brand called C80. I think PepsiCo bought them out, but they still remain healthy. It's green, free potato chips. And when you taste them, you would freak out. You taste their tortillas, you would go mad.
Mm-hmm.
There is Good Health has, parents love to feed their children these little vegetable sticks. Good Health has them. You can get them in the supermarkets here. You choose peanut butters that are healthy. Natural peanut butters. I love Smucker's. It's my favorite. It's so good. It's just peanuts and a little sea salt. The healthy food is not no more expensive now than the less healthy food, the unhealthy one.
I was going to say that because
And we have to.
we're hearing the feedbacks from the fast food joints right now that it's, you might as well just go buy a decent plate of food for what you're actually pulling up and seeing.
Yes. And a soup. Let me give you a brand of soups. Not all of them are, but a lot of them are. Amy's. I take her soups. They're $5, or whoever they are, created them out of California, I think. They're $5 something a can. But you can get just lentil, you get South vegetable, rustic vegetable. And what I do is I make it an even bigger meal.
Mm-hmm.
I add some rotisserie chicken that I've cooked, or I add some beef to it, or I add some shrimp or something to it, and I add more sauteed vegetables, but not in vegetable oil, canola oil, soybean oil, or this nasty palm oil. All those are processed. I buy local coconut oil. I want to know where it's coming from. I buy avocado oil for deep frying because I still enjoy my foods, but I do them a healthy way. I do my fried foods in my own deep fryer. So I bought right up there at A.L. Thompson, and my fried chicken and my chicken wings and are just as good as what they serve out there, but it's in healthy oil. And we have to learn to make better choices.
What would
Like
you
Mr.
say
Jim
to
is
someone?
saying.
What would you say to someone who's saying that, not everybody can afford these alternate choices? Because it's saying, only people talking are those who make over $7,000 a month.
Well, no. I've met people in the supermarket that can do it. I've met a young lady with, I think it was her mother, and she told me and another friend in Kirk some months ago last year that we started talking. I says, "Oh, I said, we love it around seeing all this food." She says, and the young lady said, and we said, "Well, have you heard about the Bobby approved app?" And she says, "Yes, my husband doesn't shop or put anything in the cart unless he scans it."
Mm-hmm.
So we need to learn to scan. Yeah, I'm sorry, it's a reality check. We are at a health crisis in the Cayman Islands. We already know that, right?
Oh, yeah.
So are we going to still continue to feed our children these processed foods? We go to Burger King, we go to Wendy's, and we buy this and we buy that. I take one packet of ground beef and I can eat, and I'm a small little human being. I'm barely 5'6.5" and 130 something pounds, okay? But I'm fit for my age. I'm almost 55 come March 1st because I walk twice a day. And I have had to learn to change the way I eat, mean healthy, because I suffer from osteoarthritis. It's not a pleasant thing, but I've somehow managed to keep it where it's not there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because of what I've eaten, because we are what we eat. And if we feed ourselves continually white bread every morning, get up in the morning. I'm a lover of coffee,
Mm-hmm.
but I had to go from to decaf coffee. And I don't put any of this nasty coffee mate crap in my coffee. I use grass-fed milk. It tastes different. I use grass-fed butter. It tastes different. It's better for you. You can still enjoy the unhealthy stuff. Brownies, I love brownies. I buy the Simple Mills brownie mix, and they are, I make a recipe off of one of the healthy flours, all-purpose flour I use that is not bleached, and you can make flourless brownies.
Mm-hmm.
And I use coconut sugar. I have not given up sugar, but I don't use it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Coconut sugar is made from the nectar of the coconut. And it smells toasted when you pop that bag open, that 1 pound bag. It's for something at Foster's. It's called Big Tree down in Cayman Bay. It's delicious. I use honey, organic honey, and I use maple syrup, and I use agave syrup, light and dark. But I go easy on it. I don't put that in my coffee in the morning because I have a healthy cereal by farmers who know, and it's Rice Krispies, but it's a healthy Rice Krispies. It's sweetened with fruit juice. It's not sweetened with high fructose corn syrup.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And there are 7 Sundays cereals. The Ezekiel even makes a brand of cereal. And once your body learns that you're feeding it healthy choices, morning, afternoon, and evening. And people need to stop skipping breakfast. Breakfast has to be had. A cup of coffee and a banana can't do you till lunchtime.
Mm-hmm.
You run out and you want to grab a patty. I love patties, Miss Sabrina, but I make my own with healthy flour. They're easy.
What do you say to those persons who are saying, look, I love what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. But first of all, I work 2 jobs, and this is not making excuses. This is real of what's happening in my home. You understand? I
Yes,
hear
ma'am.
what you're saying, but it's just not practical for everyone. And Sia is saying force inflicted malnutrition because people just can't afford it. It is not a good thing.
I get you. What needs to take place, I believe, first of all, on a national level here, because this 50 years have gone by where we have been told what to do, what not to do, what can we do, and what can't we do in this country. And that regulations, I call it, is gone out the door with this government, because this is a people-driven government. It seems to be working that way. And I hope the voice of the people is heard continually from here onward. But let me say this. It is going to have to take a bigger effort, and it's going to have to ultimately fall on the Ministry of Health through the Cayman Islands government. We are going to have to sit down and have a talk with our supermarkets and our importers who import food into these islands and say, look, we need a lot more healthy choices, because nobody can afford these horrendous hospital visits when we get sick. And it's food that is fueling it. And we need to look at ways of sourcing healthy food. We start here with our farmers. I would love to see a lot more produce in some of the supermarkets that is local, because it's lacking horribly, because not everyone wants to go to Georgetown any day of the week to go to our farmers market. And I think what could be done here to start healthy eating on a national level is once a week do a farmers market in some of the districts. It will introduce more people. It will introduce to healthy vegetables and what's available. Because I buy my turmeric, I buy my ginger, I buy my thyme, I buy all of that from the farmer's market. And it will ask, I tell you, I have vegetables from the farmer's market going on 2 weeks. And I got bok choy that looks like it was been there since yesterday, but it's been there 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
It lasts longer. It tastes different. So it's going to have to be a national level where the government says we need more imported foods that are healthy. I've heard the conversation being had, but it needs to come forefront and to the public where we know this is going to take place. Importers import in more healthy options that are organic, and government doing its part to somehow lower the price on those prices that are healthy food choices
Mm-hmm.
and up in the ones that are unhealthy, and then therefore making it a choice. You want to eat healthy, you eat it. You eat healthy, but it's basically costing the same here now because it has to be done on some national level.
Mm-hmm.
And the Minister of Health has to come forward and do a lot more because we are in a health crisis. If people have not understood that, they need to get that. We have a hypertension problem, a diabetes problem, and high blood pressure. And you have some people in Cayman that have it and don't care to do what is right.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a strain on our healthcare system. And I find it a lot with our elderly. They're hard-headed. They don't want to do it. They don't want to, they'll take their medication and you'll hear them holler, oh, I need a tablet for this.
Mm-hmm.
So
well, we know for sure, based on the information that came out of the STEP survey that of 2024, that revealed in that finding that 97% of our population has at least one risk factor, either diabetes, high blood pressure, or heart disease.
And you know,
97%
yeah,
of our population.
It is a serious wake-up call, and people can say what they want to say about what I'm saying this evening. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but your tricks and your Fruit Loops and your other nasty cereal bars about Nature Valley, go look on the back of them. We're not supposed to get but an allowance of added sugar a day because we get it from our foods. But when you have a cereal bar that says it has 16 grams of added sugar, Google the 16 grams of sugar and you will understand what teaspoons it is, what you're consuming. The government relies on Judy, yes, but there's going to have to be a balance somehow brought in between it. Because we have already heard the CEO of the HSA say, Cayman cannot afford what is happening in a healthcare system. And those of us that rely on government for whatever reason, or for insurance, it is up to all of us to try to do and live a little healthier. It isn't going to kill you trying to make time to go for a 10-minute walk.
And you know why that statement was so profound? Because it's not sustainable. At some point,
it's going to blow over and it's going to pop and the bubble will bust. And then what? When you go to the hospital and you can't get the services you need, what's going to happen? So if we think that we're not eating crap, we need to cut out the sugar. We need to lower the salt. And what I find is I have never given up salt. But I've learned what healthy salt is, and it's sea salt. I mix all of these together because that's how I was taught when I was growing up as a young child. I watched my mom, I watched my aunt next door, and I watched my next door neighbor. And I learned how to cook how they cooked. And I put my salt, I put my black pepper, I put my cayenne pepper, my turmeric, my ginger, my sea salt. I use 2 versions of Mrs. Dash. I use my seasoned salt, and I mix all of those up. Because what I've found is, in order for the turmeric properties to work, in order to help me with my arthritis, black pepper has to be there to release it. And yes, the Himalayan sea salt. Sea salt is healthy. My potato chips that I eat, Boulder Canyon, all it has is potatoes, avocado oil, sea salt. That's
All
it.
stuff that you can pronounce.
Yes, it's not 15 ingredients behind the pike that you buy in that says Lay's, and they are so much healthier. And avocado oil makes stuff crispy.
Mhm.
I cooked on my stove because I'm not a user of a toaster any longer because it's radiation. I hate a microwave too, it's radiation. I take a simple frying pan. I put one little bit of half-fed, grass-fed butter. You can get salted or not unsalted.
Mhm.
I get avocado oil in the spray can from Price Right. 2 big old bottles, 2 big old spray cans. It's $20, but it's healthy oil.
I'm going to ask you to wrap
And
up. We have less than 5
yes,
minutes.
and I spray it, and I made with my Ezekiel bread. I browned it, and
Mhm.
I made an egg sandwich, and it was crispy to the end. So we have to learn to make better choices, and that app is there, free to use.
Mhm.
But I understand government relies on duties to fund the budget,
Mhm.
but a balance has to be brought in everything, just as in with our lives. And it's like we make ourselves, I think, stressed out a lot more than we need to. And if people just sat down, Mr. Jim talked about not seeing the soja crabs, the red chinks.
Mhm.
I still get to see them in this beautiful district of West Bay because I've learned where they are. And
Mhm.
when they come out at nighttime is the best time to see nature because you look up to the stars. I want everyone to just listen, just take 5 minutes this evening before you go to your bed. Go outside in your yard and look up to the sky and enjoy the cool breeze that we're having that is hopefully lowering our electricity bills for everyone. And enjoy a little quiet time before you go to bed. And be grateful because we have people fighting to come here to live amongst us. We live here.
1 minute, caller.
So thank you.
Thank you.
God bless. And
Excellent information sharing.
we just need to learn to make better choices. And it starts at home, just like respect starts from
That's
when we're
right.
children. We're
That's
taught
right.
it. Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Sabrina,
you
and
very
God
much.
bless.
Yes.
And these islands and Cayman.
There we
Good
go.
evening.
Have a good
Bye-bye.
evening. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye.
Sure. I want to thank that caller for calling in and weighing in this evening. And even though we didn't get to delve into the core findings of the STEP survey, I had to share that statistic with you that in the STEP survey of 2024, it revealed that 97% of our population has at least one risk factor of non-communicable disease. Yeah, that was high blood pressure, diabetes, and heart disease. Of those findings, it also had had revealed that that means only 3% of the population had a zero risk factor for not showing up at that time of having any of these disorders. It also showed that 50% of our older Caymanians have multiple high risk factors of these non-communicable disease. It also showed that sugary drinks consumption, as we rightfully spoke about it, the high fructose syrup, is high, and fruit and vegetable intake is below the recommended levels. Also in these findings, it said that physical activity, inactivity actually, is widespread, and many adults are not meeting the World Health Organization activity guidelines. One of the other findings of the 7 also highlighted, as we've alluded to here today, and we can confirm, that obesity remains the major issue here in the Cayman Islands. And guess what? Especially among older adults. It also highlighted that smoking and alcohol use remains a concerning. That is high on the list. And one of the biggest takeaways is that even though this findings is broad, many persons were totally unaware of their blood pressure or their blood sugar or even their cholesterol levels. So I am so happy and thankful for all of you who have joined me here this evening, for weighing in, for commenting, for calling in. Thank you for sharing your experience. Jimbo, thank you so much for putting context and for validating yesterday's episode of Sabrina Speaks. It only made sense. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for weighing in. It is now 7. That brings me to the end of today's episode of Sabrina Speaks. Tomorrow is Open Mic Friday. We can pick this up. We can dissect some of the topics that we didn't really get to finish all this weekend. But it has been a pleasure. Again, please be safe on the roads. Bundle up. I'm expecting I want to hear from you tomorrow, what you're thinking about the weather. Until next time, love you lots. Take care. God bless.
That's a wrap for today's edition of Sabrina Speaks. Thank you for tuning in and for being part of the conversation. Remember, the dialogue doesn't stop here. Stay engaged, stay informed, and most importantly, stay empowered. We'll be back tomorrow at 5 p.m., same time, same place, right here on CMR TV and radio, where your voice matters and your truth is heard. Until then, Cayman, take care of yourself and each other.
That's it for today's edition of Sabrina Speaks, where your voice matters, your story counts, and your truth is always welcome. Join us weekdays from 5 until 6:30 p.m. right here on CMR TV as we dive into the topics that matter most to you. Catch the show live or on demand at cmrtv.com. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram so you never miss a moment. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and always speak your truth.